Tonight, a tornado unleashing a wave of ruin in eastern New Providence. Also, an accused criminal who previously absconded, now back on the run. And later, government officials touting a surge in Canadian flights to country. Eyewitness News, the weekend edition, starts now. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jose Etienne. Thanks so much for joining us. Topping the weekend edition, a powerful storm ripping through parts of eastern New Providence Friday night, uprooting trees, damaging homes, and leaving hundreds without power. Our Laurencia Smith was on the ground. She takes the story from here.
For residents in the Joe Farrington Road and Yamacraw Beach area, Friday night's weather felt like something straight out of a movie. Neighbors of the area thought it was a tornado, but the Department of Meteorology says it was actually a microbus, a sudden powerful rush of air that drops from a thunderstorm and spreads out when it hits the ground. Well, that system ripped through roofs like it did Anthony Price, who shared with us when it was all over, he could see into the night sky.
And then I heard this loud sound like a bulldozer pushing the house down. That's how hard the sound was.
Just a few houses up the street, his neighbor, Janet Morley's roof appeared to be intact. But when we went inside, we discovered she wasn't as lucky.
I see that water sound like that in my house. That just outside, that's inside. And I was thinking, oh, the house was going to get flooded and I wasn't going to be able to get out. So I keep on trying hard and I bust through the bedroom door and get the door open. And when I came out here, I saw this.
Along with damages to homes, families saw cars crushed by fallen coconut trees, some more than 100 feet tall, ripping from the ground, including one uprooted in Katie Davis's yard.
Then the wind came. It shook the house. It literally shook the house. The wind came from both sides, so we tried to get into a safe room with no windows. So after it was all over, we looked outside. The power was off, and the damage was it was just a bad experience.
The system also tore down power lines across eastern New Providence, leaving nearly 1,000 customers without electricity, and BPL crews worked late into Saturday afternoon to restore supply. Now, we had a chance to speak with Chief Operating Officer at the company, Anthony Christie.
We also would have had to assess and determine how we're going to restore and repair what was needed in order to return customers to service. As you can see now, we have a number of crews already working. They have been working from yesterday evening through the night up until now. This included teams from BPL as well as BGC, Bahamas Grid Company.
Both MPs for Seabreeze and Elizabeth Estates, Leslie Miller Bryce and Joe Beth Colby Davis, were on the ground over the weekend, assisting their constituents. Elizabeth MP says a support system will begin as early as next week to help families with repairs.
As of Monday, we'll be putting together some system in place for materials to be drawn down, how we set up a verification process and be able to start getting the actual help to people to begin that process of rebuilding on what they lost through the storm.
Residents say that they are forever grateful to God, but right now all their main concerns is putting the pieces together. Laurencia Smith, Eyewitness News.
In other news, 39-year-old Larry Burrows is once again on the run after police say he breached his bail conditions days ago. This comes over a year after Burrows was deported from the United States to the Bahamas after absconding. Now, it is unclear how he breached his bail conditions, although unconfirmed reports suggest that he destroyed his electronic monitoring device. Burrows was reportedly on bail for conspiring to import firearms, an offense dating back to 2022 when he was initially granted bail. Police say the Bahamian fugitive was eventually arrested in Miami in September 2022. A manhunt into Burrows' whereabouts are underway. Free National Movement leader Michael Pintard on the defense tonight, weeks after the Davis administration ridiculed his crime-fighting plan, insisting that it's simply a recycled plan from the governing Progressive Liberal Party. Well, Pintard insists that government's approach isn't moving the needle on the crime wave, notwithstanding recent statistics from officials which show that crime is on a downward trend.
I had the honor of presenting to the Christie administration, invited by the then Prime Minister, to present ideas that I had on urban renewal. And ironically, much of what was said in the press conference I said, again, more than 15 years ago. So again, these are not, if you want to say they're recycled, it's because Bahamians from all walks of life, civil society, non-governmental organizations, etc., have been making a range of recommendations. The Free National Movement happened to just read reread the reports. We are looking at best practices internationally, and we are seeking to import and adapt where necessary. And so the point he's making is a non-point. The reality is that we have laid out a plan, and he's discussing it, and that's important. Let's debate how we could strengthen the plan, because clearly what his administration has put in has not resulted in a decrease in homicides in the country.
This time, he's taking a direct aim at National Security Minister Wayne Munroe, accusing him of being unfit as minister.
Under the PLP, there has been a 40% increase over the 4-year period when compared to the 4-year period when we were in government, a 40% increase in homicides. And so for all of his talk, what he is not saying to the public is that we regret the carnage that's happening in our country. Here are the particular things we will do that can have immediate and then medium and long-term impact. That's what the conversation should be. Not trying to score brownie points by criticizing the opposition. We are fighting to save lives. And we wish we had a minister of national security that was not functioning as a defense attorney, primarily concerned about those who are afflicting victims. We don't offer a defense for criminals. We offer remedies that can help us fix a problem where we are losing our children at home and losing them on our streets. That's what our concern is.
Well, with phishing scams on the rise, costing Bahamians thousands of dollars at the hands of fraudsters, the Royal Bahamas Police Force Financial Crimes Branch says they are collaborating with international authorities to identify trends and possibly connect the dots to cases that could be related. Officer in charge of the unit, Superintendent Anthony McCartney, emphasizing that investigators are working in overdrive to address the uptick in these cases.
The use of technology, of course. And so I would also like to point out that we are also utilizing our partners in other jurisdictions to assist us with our investigations. We know that this is not isolated here to just Nassau, Bahamas. This is happening in other parts of the world. And so we're working with other law enforcement counterparts as well, sharing of information, because we see that these suspects as well, they are without borders. And so apart from that, we use our basic tracing and identifying techniques to locate and identify who the perpetrators are, along with the use, as I indicated, with technology.
Officials explaining that a trend they have noticed as well by fraudsters is that personal accounts are the ones under attack and not so much corporate accounts.
These are individual accounts that are being attacked and not the business establishments. Once the persons are arrested, if the funds are still available on the bank account, we'll be able to get those funds back to the individuals whose accounts were compromised.
Well, on to news from the political arena. A first-time member of parliament is dismissing critics tonight, particularly those from his constituency, even as he hopes to be re-elected.
What I do speaks for itself, right? And so you have the school breakfast program basically started in Uriah McPhee, conceived by myself, Principal Harmony. The Ministry of Education saw that it increased attendance from the worst to the best, the GLAT results going. So what I do speaks for itself. In any constituency, you're likely to be able to find about 1,000 people who don't like the Member of Parliament because they didn't vote for him. So there's a super cat somewhere out there, and the only thing that I say is this. When we deal with confessions, you say the fact that people praise you, you could take that. Condemnation, they condemned the prophets before me. So I'm not focusing on the condemnation. The praise is what they're saying is he's an excellent cabinet minister. He's an excellent person to be running a department of government. In the UK, that's actually the test for being in government.
In news from the aviation sector, following Silver Airways' exit from the market, Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper has repeatedly said Bahamas Air would step in to fill the void and take on the affected routes. But Bahamas Air Managing Director Tracy Cooper admitted to reporters last week that the airline has not been very successful in that vein, pointing to the limited number of aircraft available. Cooper also revealing that only 3 of the airline's 6 ATR aircrafts are currently in service, a shortfall that continues to challenge Bahamas Air's ability to expand its routes.
So we have done the best we can to fill in the voids. For instance, we were flying from Exuma to Fort Lauderdale, and we're looking to pick up 1 or 2 other flights come again in October. But the only impediment that we have at this particular time is just the amount of airplanes that we have. We just wish we had a few more, and we would have been able to handle that situation even a little bit more.
But on the flip side, Canadian Airlines are more than doubling their non-stop service to Nassau during the upcoming winter tourism season. This uptick, aviation officials say, will increase the number of non-stop flights by Canadian carriers from 19 flights per week to 39 flights, a more than 100% increase. This comes as officials are broadening the country's tourism source markets to offset potential impacts from economic shifts impacting travelers from the United States. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism and Aviation Chester Cooper telling reporters that the uptick is a strong indication of the growing demand of travel to country.
This has been strategic and important for the friendship between Canada and the Bahamas. Of course, Canada is also a strategic source market for us. We have seen a significant increase in interest from Canada. We're having 10 new flights, adding to the 26 that we now have. By mid-November, we will have 36 flights a week coming from Canada, with some new direct non-stop services from Halifax, from Hamilton, and from Ottawa to add to the service we now have from Toronto and Montreal. We're very excited about this. This is good for residents as well who are in school, etc., diaspora, and certainly it build new bridges. It's going to be a significant increase, let me just put it that way. We are already 50% ahead of where we were when we compare 2024 to 2023. There was a 50% growth. We expect during 2025 that this growth is going to be even more pronounced.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Philip Davis returning from Ethiopia for the second Africa-Caribbean Summit, where a memorandum of understanding was heavily being discussed. The MOU was signed between the African Union and the Caribbean Community in 2024. Press Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister, Kishla Adderley, says African leaders pledged to honor their commitments, which range from education to transportation.
Heads of state and government committed to executing plans for cooperation in areas including trade and investment, improved air and transportation, entrepreneurship, education, scientific research, tourism development, cultural and creative industries. The summit also recognized that despite a shared historical background and deep cultural ties, and bilateral exports between regions currently accounts for less than 3%. Subsequently, the heads of state and government called for increased investment in emerging sectors, including finance, communications, and technology. They also committed to the development of maritime and air connectivity and pledged to advance cooperation and capacity building in health through health development, particularly to develop regional capacity to produce medicines, medical supplies, and vaccines. There were also discussions surrounding bolstering the health workforce in the Caribbean and Africa.
A major boost for the country's healthcare and biotech sector. On Wednesday night, Cell Collabs by LiveWell officially opened its new facility in Sandyport. Prime Minister Philip Davis was on hand for the ribbon-cutting ceremony, touting the company's decision to establish its regional base in-country. Davis also noting that the respected Swedish firm had been searching for the right location to build a state-of-the-art stem cell and regenerative research lab, chooses the Bahamas for its progressive laws, commitment to innovation, and the trust between the nation and the company.
The seriousness of our commitment and the trust we have built. They joined with the Live Well Family Health Center, led by a son of the soil, Dr. Darius Bain, a Bahamian determined to bring world-class care here at home. This partnership is not just about buildings or equipment. It is about Bahamian doctors and nurses working side by side with international experts. It is about jobs for our young people, opportunities for our students, and hope for families who once thought these treatments were beyond their reach. That is what partnership looks like. Government creating the framework, Bahamian institutions stepping forward, international partners bringing investment and expertise, together delivering change that people can see and touch.
Live Well Family Health Center, led by Dr. Darius Bain, describing the initiative as a new chapter in the country's health journey, calling it a labor of love and a passion project to improve health care in country. Also in attendance was Cell Collab's CEO, Matthias Brunau, who shared that stem cell technology is a true game changer for medicine in the 21st century.
We need to show the world that stem cells is not just something that you go and buy just because you have money to spend. It is something that you use, and we're using this as research to understand how we can best treat and prevent and eliminate disease. Not just longevity, but disease. And this is why I am passionate about it. This is why my team is passionate about this project. And this is why Matthias and I get along so well, because he knows that I'm all about science.
Professor Joseph Martin, former dean at the Harvard School of Medicine, pointed this out, saying that stem cell therapies have the potential to do for chronic diseases what antibiotics did for infectious diseases. That is one of my favorite quotes. It is so strong, because just as antibiotics once transformed healthcare, the way we perform it and the way we think of life, stem cells is the next great breakthrough, inflection point in the history of modern medicine.
Well, if you've got a news tip or if you've seen news in the making, call the Eye on News hotline at 397-6397. We also invite you to send your letters to the editor for publication on all of our social media platforms at Eyewitness News Bahamas at gmail.com. And if you're watching on our Facebook or YouTube pages, share your thoughts about today's stories in the comments section below. We want to hear from you. And still to come tonight, BPL is increasing manpower and equipment on Eleuthera to ease outages and improve power reliability. And later, the Bahamas AIDS Foundation is hoping to raise more than $200,000 this year through fundraising efforts. We've got more on those stories, but first, here's a check on tonight's weather forecast.
Hello, bonjour, hola, hello, ciao.
No matter where your passport takes you, BTC roaming keeps you effortlessly connected. Enjoy seamless calls, lightning-fast data, and affordable roaming across the globe. No SIM swaps, no stress. Just one network, working everywhere. So go ahead, explore the world, and still be just a call away from home.
The Royal Bahamas Police Force is one of the most unique professions because it allows you to work in almost every field.
For the police, I fly the unmanned aerial vehicles. Because I always had an interest in forensic science.
The most interesting area that I would have been exposed to would have been the fire prevention section. It's so much you can pursue.
I get to serve my community and my people every day.
Log on to our webpage. There's information about the recruitment process and all of our various departments.
You work hard to provide for and protect the ones you love. However, life can present unexpected challenges. who you call in times of need matters. Insurance Management is a Bahamian-owned company that has been serving our community for over 40 years, offering a wide range of coverage for all of your personal, professional, and commercial needs. When life happens, rest easy knowing that our skilled and experienced agents are there for you in your time of need, so that you can get back to what matters most. Insurance Management. Nobody does it better.
Welcome to Paradise Premium Foods, where exceptional taste meets everyday convenience. Right in the heart of Hurricane Hole Plaza, whether you're planning a beachside brunch, an intimate dinner, or simply restocking your favorites, we offer only the finest selection of local and imported goods, handpicked for quality, freshness, and flavor. At Paradise Premium Foods, shopping is effortless, service is personal, and every visit feels like a treat. From gourmet meals to go to organic essentials and indulgent treats, this is your neighborhood market elevated. Live well, eat better. Discover Paradise Premium Foods, now open at Hurricane Hole Plaza.
You're watching Eyewitness News.
Welcome back to the weekend edition. Bahamas Power and Light's Chief Operating Officer Anthony Christie confirming that BPL is actively increasing its manpower on the island of Eleuthera while also deploying additional equipment and vehicles to ease the burden on residents affected by frequent outages. The update comes as the utility company continues its mission to strengthen power reliability across the country. The utility company is taking its targeted steps to improving service, particularly, as we've said, in Eleuthera.
We've started earlier this year a revitalization of the Eleuthera operation. So we recognized there were deficiencies across the board in generation, transmission, and distribution. We supported the area by moving around a few of the managers, as well as bringing in some people on contract to support that area. So what we recognized to date is that we're definitely short of manpower, especially in Harbor Island and on mainland in a lot of key areas. So we recognize we need to do some hiring, and HR is in the process of putting out notices in order to fill any empty or vacant spots that we need to support generation and transmission and distribution.
Christie says the investments are part of a broader long-term strategy to modernize BPL's infrastructure.
Yeah, well, indeed, change is on the way. We've made a lot of improvements on Harbor Island to stabilize the generation there. So that took a heavy lift. My regional manager literally lived on the island until all the issues were resolved. We put a heavy task force on the island of Eleuthera from our roving crew. Our roving crew literally were there specifically working on challenges in management, executives, the board itself. We're well aware of the problem. We're trying to address it head on, as well as other islands. We don't want to say we're only focusing on Eleuthera, but Eleuthera has more challenges than others. So again, our eyes are wide open. We're trying to give the resources needed there, encourage the staff. We've had a few in-house meetings with the staff and also with the public in order to let them know what we're doing and what the future looks like. Eleuthera is, again, one of the islands that may see the first IPP online, independent power producers. So that site is aggressive. We're working aggressively to have that installation completed. And so once that's done, people will see definitely that Eleuthera will be headed in the right direction in terms of stable power and more reliable power, for sure.
While the Integra Group continues its investment efforts throughout Exuma, Suncash, through its Sand Dollar, is stepping in to help facilitate digital payments. It's aimed at increasing financial inclusion and ease of transactions across the island. Suncash sales, promotions, and events manager Lorian Russell says the platform is not only making purchases more convenient, but also supporting local businesses by streamlining how payments are made and received.
We have assisted with Integra's payroll also, where their employees are paid that way in the development. They have been paid through Sand Dollar. So we actually have a company that is accepting Sand Dollar as their employee's salary. We've made that very easy for them. It's just like sending a regular transfer. It's done over the Sand Dollar and ACH rails. And They've been loving it. They've been using our machines, and as you know, it's multiple parts of Exuma that they're on, and we have covered every island and key, well, every key of the Exuma Keys. And we just look forward to the partnership and everything that they're doing, and hope to see a little bit more.
In other news, the Bahamas AIDS Foundation hoping that they're able to raise funds exceeding $200,000 this year through fundraising efforts, as the nonprofit organization says a number of projects are in the pipeline with goals of easing the burden on the foundation. President Aramay Ford telling reporters that following their highly anticipated fundraising event, the Red Ribbon Ball, priorities will be bettering the daily operations for patients living with HIV and AIDS.
The building is not the core work, but unfortunately for us, we've had some challenges with our physical building, and we've had to focus on some repairs there, because if we don't take care of it, we're going to lose it and we'll have a bigger problem. So one of our challenges is repairing our current resource buildings. And if there's a contractor or a company out there willing to help us, please give us a call. So that's one of the things that we have to make a little detour with some funding. We take care, again, of patients that are living with HIV. The government of the Bahamas, like I mentioned before, do provide medication for free to these patients. But unfortunately, for whatever reason, some people become unresponsive to the medication, the generic medication that's available.
With the priority of the foundation being patient care, Ford says sometimes they have to go beyond the call of duty in their efforts to reach the wider community to bring awareness to the disease.
We provide what is known as third-line medication to some patients, which could cost in excess of $1,200 a month. And so the more money we have, the more patients we could put on this program and help. We have programs where we travel throughout the family island, an education program where we work with some churches and use their community center and have an education program to ensure that everybody understands what PrEP and PEP is and how to get on medication. We also want to amplify our media presence where young people reside on Instagram and TikTok. Make sure that they understand what PrEP is, how it works, and what PEP is. Unfortunately, in this country, we see a lot of instances where people have been sexually abused.
While BPL executives also displaying acts of kindness towards the Sickle Cell Association of the Bahamas, donating $1,000 to the organization. But for families living with this painful and life-altering disease, the gesture represents more than money. It's hope. With over 500 Bahamians currently registered as living with sickle cell disease and more than 80% of them under the age of 18, the fight against this inherited blood disorder continues to be both urgent and deeply personal for many families across the country.
So at BPL, we highlight a national issue every month. We have banners in our headquarters. So this donation is an example of how we basically shine light on important causes. Sickle cell disease affects 1 in every 100 Bahamians. It is important that we raise awareness to ensure that families obtain the care and support that they need. At BPL, we believe that our responsibility goes beyond providing electricity or keeping the lights on. This donation to the Bahamas Sickle Cell Association represents how we give back to the community which we serve.
Association's president, Kristen Butler Benaby, sharing that the donation will assist in the fight to bring awareness and change.
So on behalf of the Bahamas Sickle Cell Association, we would like to thank Bahamas Power and Light for their donation during Sickle Cell Awareness Month. Their support during this month means the world to us as we continue to carry out our mission in raising awareness, providing education, and supporting sickle cell warriors and their families. This donation will not only serve a practical purpose, but it serves as a partnership and a representation of care. So for that, we say thank you to Bahamas Power and Light. This is a step towards breaking the sickle cell cycle and advocating for warriors in the community.
Still talking acts of generosity, the Bahama Resort Foundation lending a helping hand to the country's military organization, providing 2 jet skis to assist with fleet expansion as Defense Force officers continue to safeguard the nation's waters.
The addition of these jet skis this morning will significantly enhance the task force's ability to respond swiftly and effectively. In particular, they will assist with the inlets, the canals, and waterways. This support aligns directly with the two core mandates of the Royal Air Force: patrolling the waters of the Bahamas, working in conjunction with law enforcement agencies. Many times while on the waterways, we are required to respond to emergencies that can mean the difference between life and death. The speed, the maneuverability, and versatility of these jet skis will strengthen our security presence.
On behalf of the Bahama Resort Foundation, on behalf of Bahama, on behalf of the Bahamas Hotel and Tourism Association, I thank the Defense Force for your dedication, and it is our hope that